Hello and welcome to Hollywood Knitter. My name is Allison and I'm recording from my home in Los Angeles, California on Saturday, May 25th, 2025. Welcome to all of my friends and welcome to anyone joining for the first time. I have been busy. It's only been like 5 or 6 weeks, I think, since my last podcast, but I've had travels, I've had FOs, I have enhancement. It's been busy. And so I wanted to get a podcast in while everything is fresh and so I can put everything away. That's really what makes me podcast. And catch up with you and kind of share. So let's get right into it with my first FO, which I'm wearing. This is the Till Still Tee by Rebecca Clow. I love it. It is knit in Queen City Yarns Coleman, which is a 65% silk, 35% linen, and DK weight, and clay and sand. And I'll put some little video or something here and you can kind of see it all standing. And I love it. I've already worn it. I wore it to Mother's Day brunch. It is so light. It is the perfect size, the perfect shape. I'm super pleased with it. Now, I will say this is my first time doing a Rebecca Clow. She is the Creabea designer and she does a lot of patterns. She also does a lot of ways you can modify her pattern. She makes recommendations. This one, I actually changed the gauge. So the gauge she recommends is like 17 stitches to the inch, and I didn't like that fabric at all. So mine is 20 stitches to the inch. Can't remember what needles I did them on. Did I write down? And whatever. Mine was 20 stitches to the inch, and whatever needle I had to use for that. And I liked that fabric. It was drapey but dense enough. And so all I did was follow a bigger size to get the size I want. I ended up getting a 38-inch circumference. And the length is 20 inches total and 13.5 from the underarm. So I'm starting to make shorter for me t-shirts than I used to, and I'm loving it. It goes really well with anything that's high-waisted. I'm wearing them in the video with some linen pants. I wore them with some like higher-waisted jeans. You know, it's super cute. And yeah, I just love it. I love the color. This is so me, these colors. Like, I am an orange fan. If you've been on this podcast for a while, I do a lot of orange, but I don't have a lot of t-shirts. So I don't do a lot of my knits in the summer, and I'm starting to change that. I think I have 3 in rotation right now, of which this is the newest one. So I'm super excited about that. And yeah, the pattern was well written, easy to do. You can see I just did a 4-row, 2-row repeat and raglan. I will say in the back, and I might start doing this, like there's a little more fabric in the back than I like, and that's pretty typical of all things. I think potentially I could have, you can kind of see it here, this little gape, I could have cut the raglan short, a little shorter to get that, so I didn't get too much there, but it's super wearable. It's super cute. You can see I did a little bit of a sleeve. So yeah, I'm super happy. Now, the reason I did this is I had the sand left over from my Metamorphic and I wanted to use it up. So then I got this to do a striped t-shirt. And now it's funny because the yardage, it took 2.5 skeins to do the whole thing. So about 620 yards, but I still have like almost a skein of the sand left. I didn't use as much as I thought. The clay though, I use what, 1.5, almost 2 skeins, 1.8 skeins. So yeah, you know, my quest to try to play yarn chicken on every time to, you know, have the perfect, very little yarn. So I have enough of both yarns left to stick in my scraps, and we'll see what happens with them later. So that's my big garment. That's the one I'm pretty happy with. But I also have like 5 other ones that I finished since late April. First up is a pair of socks. I think I was knitting on these. These are my scrap socks number 6 for 2025 on my quest to get rid of some of my half balls and scrappies that I have. So this is from my giant bag of minis that I have, is the yarn here. And then this yarn is Queensland Collection Perth in Alice Springs. And this was a yarn, I think I got it at Stitches West a few years ago. I made a pair of socks for my brother out of it. So I use the rest, and it's kind of like, you know, the color changing. So it's not exactly. And these are probably shorties for me or somebody else. So yeah, that was my shorties take about 200 yards. So that's what I get from there. So that was one pair of socks. I'm going to show the other pair of socks because they make me happy. I have my sock lockers out. So the next pair of socks, I didn't want to do necessarily a scrappy because I was using them for a travel project. And sometimes the scrap socks require yarn management. And so I didn't really want any yarn management on this pair of socks. So instead I went into my stash and I picked out a self-striping because I have a decent amount of self-striping. And I tried to pick my oldest that I think I had in my stash, and I knit these. Right. These I'm calling my Be Happy socks. The yarn is Fibronith, Dyeworks Bounce Space, and the Choose Happy, and I got this in 2021. So yeah, just 2 happy socks. What heel did I do on these? I don't remember, but matching, pretty close. I did do a little yarn management on the second one because I think I started the toe just a little bit differently. Yeah, there's a little bit more white on this one. So I did cut out to try to get the top to be, you can see my heel. This one has a thinner stripe, this one has a thick stripe, but then after that, they're kind of the same because I cut some of the red so that they would end at the same spot. But yeah, so these are my Be Happy socks. I'm going to keep these because again, these are my colors. That's why I bought it, and they make me happy. So live up to their name. The other things I've been working on are some stash projects. I'll show you the hats I've been doing. So these are probably both charity hats, and this was just from a random skein of yarn that I had in my stash that I know I got at the Knockers D-Stash table. The yarn is Huckleberry Knit BFL Silk DK. It's a DK weight. And then the first one I did was Classic Ribbed Hat by Purl Soho. Free pattern online. Purl Soho has lots of patterns. I was just looking for a very simple 1x1 rib, you know, something I could do in a crowd. Took a while though. This was done on US 3s, so it's pretty dense and, you know, long brim. I don't want to put it on to mess my hair up, but yeah. But when I finished this, again, I had one and a change ball of this, and it only used like 0.6 ball. So I had too much left, but I had enough left for another hat. So I almost did, this hat took me 3 or 4 weeks to do because I was like travel knitting and things like that. I cast on with the leftovers, moved up to a size 7, and did the rolled brim, which is, it's still kind of floppy because it's actually still wet. I was blocking it. But this is the rolled rib hat by Purl Soho. You just do a rolled edge, some ribbing, and then stockinette. And I did this on 7s, and so it's quite a bit bigger. And definitely a charity hat. And I used the rest of the ball. This I knit in 2 days. So I was just wanting to get all of the yarn used up, and I have been successful. You can kind of see it's hard because it's this really deep navy blue, and my lighting is crappy today. It's kind of overcast. So those are 2 hats I finished, and then I also finished another hat. Now, this is one of my Make 9s, and so my Make 9 to get stash out of my old stash out. So this is the Deep Woods Toque by Kiyomi Bergen, and it's very floppy. This is Owool Superwash and Fowler S Toad, which I had from a previous sweater, and then the orange is Zombie Yarn and Lily Tiger. And you can see it is like super long, super brim. I'll throw this on. Right now it is super floppy, and I realized I was debating it because it is, yeah, this is for me though. Another one that's my colors, the green, the orange trees. It's just me. But it is very loose and floppy, especially the brim. So it is superwash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to soak it and then stick it in the dryer to tighten it up. And I think that that will work because it's superwash, and so it should tighten up. Now, I will say I'm pretty happy with my color work. I am a very slow color worker. I do color work. I pick and drop because I don't do a lot of it. And then I still do this on circular knitting in the round, magic loop. So when I come across, and you can kind of see it, where my wonkiness is this line is where the needles were. But I'm pretty good with my floats. They're all pretty even. on the inside. Look at that, not too loose. A few in the beginning are a little loosey-goosey, but most of the other ones, pretty good. So yeah, so that was another hat. I will keep it for me for now. But as I said, I gotta throw it in the dryer. I needed to snug it up just a little, but I love how it turned out. It's really pretty. And if I do decide to give it to charity, we'll see. I'm sure it will find a loving home. The last big project that I finished was another Make 9 to use skeins. And I'm also going to put a picture here of kind of me wearing it, modeling it, holding it up. And that is the Free Your Fade by Andrea Mowry. Now, you notice my fade is a little different. I did a stripy fade. So I had 3 colors. I'll show it to you in this section. This is Stranded Dye Works in Hazardous. It's an 80-10-10. Then this white is Ren and Ollie in Sweet and Sour. And then this pink is just a pink. I think it's called Ghost with the Most. And I picked it up from an Etsy dyer. I don't remember where. And I decided to do mine. The pattern's been knit by a lot of people. So it is just garter stitch, and then there's an eyelet row, garter stitch. 20 rows of garter stitch, eyelet, 20 rows of garter stitch. Now, what I did, which you can kind of see here, is I did the solid green, then I faded it in the next color, then one section of that color, then faded, then that, and I striped it that way. And I'm really happy with it. It's very, very, very Halloween-y. I used about, 750 yards. Each one used pretty much half a ball. This one, the edging, so the last color, this Hazardous, used a little bit more because, again, the last section was a little more. But yeah. So pretty happy. It took me, 4 or 5 weeks to knit. It was super easy to memorize, super mindless. I had it television knitting for most of the time, would pick it up, put it down. And I just loved finding something to use these yarns for because these are kind of crazy-ish colors. This one I know I got at Knockers, I think is a door prize. This one, the Red and Ollie, I got Stitches West a few years ago. Do I say when? 2018. Both of these are 2018. The Hazardous and the Red and Ollie were from 2018, which is why they were on my Make 9 to try to get used. And then I think the rest of the balls will go for scrap socks because I still, as I said, have significant left. So they'll probably be scrappy socks before the end of the year. And that are all my FOs. Not too bad. 3 hats, 2 pairs of socks, a shawl, fingering weight shawl, and a DK weight t-shirt. Moving on into whips. So I only have 2 because I was trying to finish everything off and wait. And so my sock right now is scrappy. And so you can see I'm using the Hazardous Waste already. And then the yarn, the main part of the yarn is Lana Grossa, Melon White, and Nestle Everest. And this is a self-striping European yarn of some type. I knit a pair of socks, I think, got them for my brother in this. So I have half a ball. So these are going to be shorties. You can see this. You can see it started to stripe, but they're going to be shorties and just using these 2 colors. Pretty easy. Pretty mindless. So that's my sock that's going on right now. And that would be my 7th sock scrap. 7th pair of the year doing with scraps, which I'm so loving. Then the big one I passed on, which I will show as I tell the story. So I went to Maryland Sheep and Wool with friends, and it was so much fun. And one of the things, one of my friends lives out in Maryland, and she has recently, within the last year or so, pretty much her group of friends, she has taught to knit. And so we had a mixed group of people. They came down and hung out and knit with us for one of the days that we were staying, and we stayed in Frederick, Maryland, which was beautiful. And one of the things we did was try on my other friends, who is a prolific knitter. she had knit a sweater and she hadn't even finished it, and she brought it and we tried it and we loved it. And from that, a knit along was born. And I am usually not a knit along girl, but I love these ladies, and so I am doing a knit along, and I really love the sweater. If I didn't like the sweater, it wouldn't matter. The peer pressure wouldn't have been whatever, but I really did like the sweater. And so as part of that, we had to go shopping, and the sweater that our friend did was in Purl Soho Linen Quill. And so we did a Purl Soho deep dive. My friend Liz is crazy. I happened to, for Christmas, through a weird set of circumstances, get the Linen Quill minis sets that they sell. And she got more than one because she had asked for it and different people got her it. And so she had all of these minis. They were so beautiful. So many colors, so many things. And I've never knit with Linen Quill before. It is a very popular, and some of my other friends had. But basically, we kind of were putting colors together and kind of deciding there. And so from there, I took a mini home. She gave me the mini. And then I had, as soon as we basically said, as soon as Purl Soho has a sale, which they have sales all the time, we bought ours on the Mother's Day sale. They're having a Memorial Day sale. We'll get the main color and then we'll cast on. So the sweater we decided to do, and is the Heimfaffen by Isabel Kramer. And we have a hard time saying this. We're calling it the Hefeweizen sweater. But it's a Heimfaffen, and it is, she, I think originally, I don't even know what her original yarns are, that she knit hers on, but we are doing ours in Linen Quill. It's fingering weight, you know, materials. So for Linen Quill, I picked out Stonewall Gray for my main color. And this is the skein I haven't skeined up yet. And then my contrast is Clematis. And so I'm going to be doing main, body, and stripe. And we've been debating when we're going to cast them on, when we're going to do. We have a fairly big group. I think there's 7 of us, 8 of us, doing the sweater. But, you know, the idea is, you know, no hard knit along. We're going to have it done sometime this summer. Everyone's doing different colors, different things. They're all going to be beautiful. And I cast mine on last night because I had everything off the needles and all I had was my sock and I wanted to cast it on. And so I have done the first, I think we're calling this like a bubble stitch or something. Somebody's, I forget, one of them said it looks like a middle finger. But yeah, so I've cast on for my sweater and I'm so looking forward. I've never knit with Linen Quill and my friends are big fans of it. Obviously it's a very economical fingering weight yarn. And it is, in case anyone doesn't know, it's 50% Highland wool, 35% alpaca, 15% linen. So yeah, I had to, I did all my mathing. So well, being as an engineer, I very frequently modify patterns. So I like a slightly wider neck. So I'm following a slightly larger size for the neck, coming down and then going a smaller size for the body. And so I did all the math for that. And then I had to gauge swatch. I can't show you my swatch because I ripped it back out because I'm a bad gauge. I did gauge swatch. Didn't wash it though and dry it. What? But she calls for US 3s. I had to go up to 5s to get the gauge. So, you know, it's all good. That's why I gauge swatch, because I typically have to go up, but 1 needle size at least. But in this one, I had to go up 2 from there. So next step is to do some more increases, start on the raglan, and then start getting through it. But I'm super pleased. I like it. I think it's going to be very cool. So that is the other sweater I'm knitting on. Now, I've got some acquisition to show. I'm like pulling it up. So I said I went to Maryland Sheep and Wool and we rented a house and stayed in Frederick, which was beautiful. And we went to Yarn Centric. We got there Thursday and we stayed till Monday. And on Friday, went to Yarn Centric. My friend Janice from Queen City Yarns was vending there and some other friends were going to be there and they had a lot of good vendors there. So I went with a kind of a shopping list. I had a yarn that I had picked up that I wanted to get a mohair or silk or Surrey or something to go with, lace weight. And then I also wanted to get a bag. So I did both. The yarn I picked up to go with Miss Emma's that I think I showed on the last one, I wanted kind of an orange-ish or goldish, and I ended up getting Little Fox Nuages in Honey Bear. And so this is going to be held with a fingering weight for a lento. And it looks really great in this light, actually. It looks like it's glowing. It's a little more muted in person. But this is 65% Surrey alpaca, 35% silk. And I like this better than a mohair. So I definitely have been tending to go more to the Surrey alpaca than to the mohair. So I got 3 skeins of that for the lento. And I've never bought from Little Fox before, so I'm always happy to support new to me vendors and things like that. The other thing I picked up was a bag. Now, I've been following Tanis Casey forever and her Etsy, and I just have never pulled the trigger. I've had friends who have had her bags, and her bags are beautiful. And last year at Rhinebeck, I was hoping to go to Cake to specifically see her booth, but it didn't work out. But she was at Yarn Centric. So I got 2 bags. The first one I got was this. Look how beautiful this is. I love this so much. This is a big bucket bag. You can see canvas inside. She's got some heavy canvas on thing, leather straps. Just perfect for me to put all of my other smaller projects and things in it. And I think I'm gonna have it sit next to me downstairs and just hold my knitting stuff, more of my knitting stuff. But I love this print. I love this fabric. I love this bag. And I also got another bag just because I couldn't resist, because of the fabric and obviously the color, but it's mushrooms. It's mushrooms. I love mushrooms and orange mushrooms, and yeah. So this is just another little great project bag, and yeah, super happy with both of them. So 2 bags and the yarn were what I got at Yarn Centric. And then on Saturday, we went to the festival. We got there 10-ish and we left probably about 3. We left before the huge hailstorm. We got through pretty much everything. It was hot. It was lots of people. It was great. I had no agenda really. Now, one of the things, again, that we saw and is very popular are spin cycle types yarns, Junction Fiber Mill. A lot of them have it. And one of them that we saw was Switzer's Fiber Mill. And these are mixed mill ends, mixed fibers. And we all kind of liked this. And we all picked up a skein of this, and we're all going to do a project with it. It's going to be like our Maryland project. So this one skein of this, I'm going to pair it with something else, I think, and do a cowl. But we all got like different types of mill ends. There was lots of different colors, different things they spun it with. You know, there's all of the colors in this, and I think it's going to be great. The other thing I picked up, which fell on the floor, was like the last booth that we went. It was down on the bottom of the corrals. It was next to Cannon Hand Dye, so it was one of the outdoor ones, and she had like a wall of just beautiful colors. And I don't think I'd ever gone there before. It was Avalon Springs Farm, and I picked up one skein, and this Pendragon yarn, which is 555 yards of superwash merino wool fingering, and swan feathers. Now, I got this. I was looking specifically for a very light fingering, this yardage. I wanted a cream to do Inner Peace by Joji Locatelli. I'd started the pattern and another yarn, and it didn't work out. And I really like the pattern, and I really like the shawl. And so I wanted to find a yarn specifically for that. So that's what this is going to be. And I love that all of the yarn I bought, with the exception of this, was for a project I already had in mind. And so my shopping list. And then this is going to be for a cowl. I think I haven't decided which cowl. I have 2 in mind, but with the idea that next time we see each other, you know, we'll all have something like that. And then the other yarn I picked up, or got, because my friend Liz is generous with her minis, is she actually gave me the minis for my clematis. So this was 2 minis. And then she also gave me these 2 minis because, you know, one day I'm going to need this bright orange for something. And it's super orange. Super orange. So these 2 also came home with me. And if Linen Quill is as awesome as everyone says, I'm sure I'll use it again. And so these super orange minis will come into play someday. And it's funny, I'm looking at them now. They must be different dialettes because I can see in this light, yeah, they're different dialettes. I can see the color differential. Importance of dialettes, but that will be okay. That is all I got. So and then, as I said, I came home for Mother's Day, ordered Pearl Soho. I got 3 skeins of this for the sweater. Hopefully I only need 2, but I didn't want to play yarn chicken on that. And it's such a neutral that I'll be able to use it for something else. They also sent, it was very nice of them, they sent a mini, just like a little mini. But what I liked about this is I ordered it and it was shipped the next day and came the day after that. Because I forgot that Pearl Soho ships from California, specifically Orange County, which is, you know, a 45-minute drive away from me. So I don't think I got yarn so fast in a very long time because they're not usually coming from California. So it was in my mailbox for me to enjoy. Toot sweet. I think that's all the knitting that I have. As I said, I am starting on the sweater. I do have another project I might cast on this weekend because just having a sweater and a sock is not enough. I like to have 3. So I will figure out what I'm going to do for that third project. Other than that, life stuff. Work is picking up. It's busy. Looks like I might be closer to actually being able to permit and start up one of my new treatment facilities that I, you know, built a while ago. And I'm working on another project, and so just busy. TV, we've been watching Mobland on Paramount, I think. And that is with Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren, where they're a mob family in the UK and kind of thing, and Tom Hardy. It's actually really good. It is more violent than I like because it's a Guy Ritchie, but it is a great story. It's interesting to see Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren and their things, but it's been interesting. Also watching Hacks, the latest season, which it's just a well-written show. And then The Last of Us, we're also watching that season. I never played the video game. I don't want to give a spoiler, but there was a pretty big twist in it, and I was disappointed in some ways. But the boyfriend knew it was coming because he played the video game. Anyways, I don't want to spoil it in case you haven't seen it. It's very well written, done. It's an apocalyptic show. What happens, you know, when these spory mushrooms take out of control and, you know, that kind of thing. Bella Ramsey, Pedro Pascal, the rest of the cast. It's well done. So that's kind of what we've been watching. And books. Let's talk about books. Where did I just... Books. Since my last podcast, I have read 13 books. Or listened to, because I do both. A lot of them are continuations of my supernatural kind of romance ones. I read Sean Kelly, Bloody Ruin Asylum and Taproom, which is Sam Quinn, book 7, which is vampire and werewolf and the kind of there. That one was kind of cool because it went to Vienna and you got to meet like the original Vlad the Impaler, who of course is a vampire and still alive. And then Molly Harper, which was a romantasy, Big Witch Energy, which is book 2 in a series, following a series of friends on an island in Michigan, I think. Highlighting, what am I going to highlight this week? Sarah Brooks. I read Sarah Brooks' The Cautious Guide to Wastelands. I don't even know how this came on my radar. It could have been a recommendation from someone. It could have been a book list that I just threw it on. A lot of times I'll read, like I just read Goodreads, like recommended books, things that are getting, and anything that looked kind of interesting to me, I threw into my wish list on my library. And as I'm looking for random books, I will just do it. But The Cautious Guide to Wastelands was about, told from the point of view of a young girl, not that young, but who grew up on a train. There has been some type of apocalyptic event, and most of Russia is gone, and they can't get the planes or whatever, can't get there. But there's this train that a group of what I would call developers corporate have set up across this wasteland, and this train connects, one end and one end, and it's the only way to like cross this wasteland. Anyways, weird things happen in the wasteland. Weird things happen on this train. It is a very interesting kind of schism. It reminds me of that show, the science fiction show where all the people left in the world are on a train. And so everything is done from this train. And it's a little fantasy, a little science fiction, very well written characters, very good read. And then just, how do I describe it? It was kind of a drama, a fantasy, but all very told from this point of view of this girl who's very empathetic. She basically was born on this train, and therefore got to be staying on this train. A lot of the workers stay on the train, live with the train. And then she meets this other girl on the train who shouldn't be there. And she's a little bit odd, and she helps hide her and things like that. And then as they go across the wasteland, which are these different life forms have grown up in this wasteland that people don't understand and things like that. And so it's this intermixing of these people crossing this wasteland, but this wasteland also not really being a wasteland, but being just another land. And yeah, it was well done. Well, I'm not describing it very well. My words aren't very good today, but I would recommend it. It's Sarah Brooks' The Cautious Guide to the Wastelands. Another one I just listened to this week, and it's actually a young adult, I think, novel, and it's by Garth Nix, who is an author I like to read. And I put it on my wish list, I know, because of the title. And the title is We Do Not Welcome Our 10-Year-Old Overlord. This was a quick audiobook. It was like 5 hours. And I threw it on, and I think I finished it the same day. And it tells a story in Australia. I think it's Canberra, maybe? Of a group of young friends. They're probably 8 to 11, 8 to 12. And brothers, sisters, that are friends together in the neighborhood. And one of them finds something in the pond that is alien. And then what happens as they kind of go through there and like not telling adults and going things. It's a great book to listen with your kids. If you have kids, I would say between 8 and 12, kind of like these kind of stories, it would go pretty fast. And I just enjoyed it. It was well written. And yeah, I don't want to give the twist, but we do not welcome our 10-year-old overlord. It was a quick, funny, well written novel. Then I was doing a lot of mystery and crime. Still listening to Martin Walker's Bruno, Chief of Police. I'm up book 12. Also listened to the Deborah Knott Mysteries by Margaret Maron. I have read through book 12 as well. I don't know why on those ones I'm keeping neck and neck, even though I don't think Margaret Maron writes them anymore. I think it ends at 20, versus I think Martin Walker might still be writing. I also read the new one, Richard Osman, We Solve Murders. Now, he's been writing this series, not the Murder Club. Might have been the Murder Club, Friday Night Murder Club. The one that's the pensioners who have a murder club and like solve mysteries. That is going to be a new television show with Helen Mirren and Pierce Brosnan, funny enough, as very different characters. But this is not in those same characters. He wrote a different book with a new set of characters, and it was really well done. He writes really fun mysteries with fun characters, a lot of humor. And so it was enjoyable. So yeah, that's kind of what's been going on. Travel. I have a fair amount of travel upcoming. Actually this weekend, I will be doing just this little one-night staycation at a hotel in Santa Monica on Monday night. I had a free night certificate that I needed to use. And so what I like to do is book a really fancy hotel, because you can, and go stay somewhere. So I'm staying at a nice hotel on the beach in Santa Monica for a night. And then in June, we'll be going up to Santa Cruz. The boyfriend's son is graduating from college. So we'll be going up for, I think, Saturday through Monday in June. Then I'm going to Florida. No, wait. Then I'm going to ZK in Rochester that same following week to see all my friends for the Zombie Apocalypse. Then I come back, and 2 weeks after that, I go to Florida for my mom's 70th birthday. She's traveling down there to celebrate her birthday with my grandmother and things like that. So the boyfriend and I will both be flying out for, I think, 5 days. No big trips this time. We're not planning like a big Disney or anything with my nieces. In fact, I'm not even sure. I don't even think they're all coming. I think just the youngest niece is coming, and my sister. Then at the end of July, we're going to Boston. That is a quick 4-day trip to mainly see the Dodgers play Boston in Fenway Park. It is something that the boyfriend wants to do, and so we're gonna go in and on a Wednesday and fly back out on a Saturday, because on the Sunday we have tickets to San Diego Comic-Con for just Sunday. So we're gonna see if we can do it. If we're feeling energetic, we might drive down to San Diego on the Sunday and attend that and go from there. My niece is supposed to visit for a week with her friend in August, and then in October I have a retreat with my college friends in Santa Barbara, and then I go to Argentina. Still trying to iron out my Argentina itinerary. I know I'm going to Joji's retreat, but then I'm trying to decide where else I'm going to go. My brother is now joining me instead of my mom, and so yeah, there's so many things I could do, but I have about another probably 7 or 8 days that I'm going to stay in that area, most likely Argentina. So I'm thinking Ushuaia, going down doing some hiking. I'm thinking El Cafate, which is where the glacier is. Yeah, maybe Salta, maybe Cordoba. I don't know. We gotta figure it out, and I like to be semi-efficient, but that will be planned shortly. And then I think that's all I have so far for the end of the year. And then next year I already have Vietnam on the books for March. So yeah, super excited with all my travel plans. It gives me energy and makes me happy. I will say that I like to have, you know, I think I'm going to have a little 2 minutes back to back in June and July. I do need to work in between there. Like I can take the time off. I'm very lucky. I've worked for, a government agency. This will be my 25th year. My anniversary is in July, and I have plenty of vacation and everything else. But my job doesn't get done when I'm not there. So it's kind of balancing taking time off with making sure stuff keeps going. But that's the job. C'est la vie. I think that's it for today. I hope everyone is having a start to their spring if you're in this hemisphere, or I guess we're just going into winter if it's the other hemisphere. If you're in the United States, I hope you're enjoying your Memorial Day weekend and doing some fun stuff there. And yeah, I just hope everyone's having a great time. I have had a great few weeks. I want to say everyone I saw in Maryland, hi. I didn't get to see some people long enough. I had a whole nother group of friends that were there, and I only got to see them for a very brief amount of time, but sometimes that's the way it goes. There's so many people, so little time. But I hope this finds everyone healthy, happy, and knitting on something that makes them smile. That's a wrap from Hollywood, where fantasy meets fiber and dreams are knit. Bye, everybody.